Hi. I am your teacher. Call me Jay. Great to have you today. Let's start our class. The legal basis of special education. Special education in the Philippines is anchored on fundamental legal document that present a chronology of events on the growth and development of the program. The first legal basis of the care and protection of children with disabilities was enacted in 1935. Articles 356 and 259 of Commonwealth Act. Number 3203 asserted the right of every child to live in an atmosphere conducive to his physical, moral, and intellectual development, and the concomitant duty of the government to promote the full growth of the faculties of every child. Republic Act No. 3562. An act to promote the education of the blind in the Philippines on June 21, 1963, provided for the formal training of special education teachers of blind children at the Philippine Normal College, the rehabilitation of the Philippine National School for the Blind or PNSB, and the establishment of the Philippine Printing House for the Blind. Republic Act 5250, an act establishing a 10-year teacher training program for teachers of special and exceptional children, was signed into law in 1968. The law provided for the formal training of teachers for deaf, hard of hearing, speech handicapped, socially and emotionally disturbed, mentally retarded, and mentally gifted children and youth at the Philippine Normal College and the University of the Philippines. The 1973 Constitution of the Philippines, the fundamental law of the land, explicitly stated, in Section 8, Article 15, the provision of a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education, relevant to the goals of national development. The constitutional provision for the universality of educational opportunities, and the education of every citizen as a primary concern of the government, clearly implies the inclusion of exceptional children and youth. In 1975, Presidential Decree No. 603, otherwise known as the Child and Youth Welfare Code, was enacted. Article 3, on the rights of the child, provides among others that the emotionally disturbed or socially maladjusted child shall be treated with sympathy and understanding, and shall be given the education and care required by his particular condition. Equally important is Article 74, which provides for the creation of special classes in every province, and if possible, special schools for the physically handicapped, the mentally retarded, the emotionally disturbed, and the mentally gifted. The private sector shall be given all the necessary inducement and encouragement. In 1978, Presidential Decree No. 1509 created the National Commission Concerning Disabled Persons or NCCDP. It was renamed as National Council for the Welfare of Disabled Persons or NCWDP. The Education Act of 1982, or Batas Pambansa Bilang 222, states that the state shall promote the right of every individual to relevant quality education, regardless of sex, age, breed, socioeconomic status, physical and mental condition, social ethnic origin, political and other affiliations. The state shall therefore promote and maintain equality of access to education as well as enjoyment of the benefits of education by all its citizens. Section 24, Special Education Service, of the same law, affirms that the state further recognizes its responsibility to provide, within the context of the formal education system, services to meet special needs of certain clientele. These specific types shall be guided by the basic policies of state, embodied on general provisions of this Act, which include 2. Special education, the education of persons who are physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, culturally different from the so-called normal individuals, that they require modification of school practices / or services to develop to their maximum capacity. In 1983, Batas Pambanza Bilang 344 was enacted. The Accessibility Law and Act, to enhance the mobility of disabled persons, requires cars, buildings, institutions, establishments, and public utilities to install facilities and other devices for persons with disabilities. The 1987 Constitution of the Philippines cites the rights of exceptional children to education in Article 14. Section 1 declares that the state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all. Section 2 emphasizes that the state shall provide adult citizens, the disabled and out-of-school youth with training in civics, vocational efficiency, and other skills. In 1989, Republic Act No. 6759 was enacted. The law declared August 1st of each year as White Cane Safety Day in the Philippines. Blind persons use the cane in traveling. In 1992, Republic Act No. 7610 was enacted. The law is an act providing for strong deterrence and special protection against child abuse, exploitation, and discrimination, providing penalties for its violation and other purposes. In the year 2000, Presidential Proclamation No. 361 set new dates for the National Disability Prevention and Rehabilitation Week celebration, and on the third week of July every year, which shall culminate on the birth date of the Sublime Paralytic Apolinario Mabini. The year 2004 ushered in a landmark legislation, spearheaded by the Department of Health. Republic Act No. 9288, otherwise known as the Newborn Screening Act of 2004, is based on the premise that a retarded child could have been normal. A drop of blood can save the baby from mental retardation and death. It is given to the child 24 hours after birth. If the test is given too late, the baby can either die or eventually be severely retarded.